Hello, you're watching English Buddhist Terminology. And today we'll be looking at the term 4 things to rely on. We have gone through the basic concept of Buddhism and analyzed the truth in which the Buddha had discovered. Now, it is time for us to go into how, after understanding these truths, we go about putting them into practice. Before we put our understanding into practice, we have to make sure that we learn the Dharma the correct way. And learning the Dharma requires the following. First of all, it requires that we awaken to ourselves. Secondly, it requires us to make many small and quiet decisions deep within ourselves. What do we decide on? We need to decide that we want to change, that we want to learn, and that we want to really try to apply the Buddha's teachings to the world in which we live. As we have said that the Dharma is the truth. Because it is the truth, because it is true, the Dharma cannot be contained in a single summation, nor can it be captured in some formula, abstracted from the philosophical language. As soon as we are sure that we have grasped it, the Dharma slips away again. Because the moment we touch one of its truths, we ourselves begin to change. And the moment a light shines in darkness, the darkness is gone. It is also like the shadowy hand that held the light is gone. The process of learning the Dharma is a most exciting and wonderful process in the world. And in today's lesson, I will try to explain how to approach the Dharma in a way that will help you get the most out of it. The advice that follows has been tried and proven by Buddhist practitioners for almost over 2,000 years. And we need to always remember a very important part of learning the truths that the Buddha taught is learning how to learn them. What do the 4 things to rely on contain? We need to remember these 4 things to rely on when we learn the Dharma. And they are: rely on the Dharma, not on people. In Chinese, it is known as 依法不依人. Secondly, we need to rely on wisdom, not on knowledge. 依智不依事. Thirdly, we need to rely on meaning, not words. 依义不依语. And finally, we need to rely on the definitive meaning, not on provisional meaning. 依了义不依不了义. When the 6th patriarch of the Chan school, Master Huineng, attained the robe from the 5th patriarch, Master Hongren, he was forced to flee the temple. And many of the other Buddhist monks from the temple, after finding out that he had the robe from their master, chased after him. And in the process, one of them, called Huiming, came very close to catching Huineng. But Master Huineng hid behind the woods. And then Huiming realized that he was hiding behind it. He said to him, "I am here for the Dharma, not for the robe." And when Bodhisattva Manjushri and Sariputra went to visit Vimalakirti, who was ill, they also explained that they are here for the Dharma, not for the luxurious or the comfortable beds. Nor are they here for the beautiful scenery, or the beautiful food, or the wonderful environment, or anyone else's hospitality. Therefore, from both incidents, we will be able to see how important it is that we set the Dharma in our goal when we begin our pursuit for it, and not to be diverted or distracted by anything else. Therefore, once again, if we will say, when we become a Buddhist and when we go to a Buddhist temple, what is our purpose of being there? Or what is our purpose of doing so? A lot of you would probably then say or answer by saying that we are there to learn the Dharma. We are here for the Dharma, not for the comfortable and luxurious beds. We are not here merely for the beautiful scenery or the delicious vegetarian food or the nice environment or your hospitality. We are simply here in pursuit of the Dharma. That's one of the most important purposes for Buddhists when they visit Buddhist temples. Now, a lot of people tend to get lost in their studies of Dharma because they tend to misapply what they have learned, or that they tend to learn the Dharma in the incorrect way. And the 4 things to rely on are basic ideas that we should keep in mind whenever we approach the Dharma. Because these 4 basic ideas will keep us from making any mistakes, following false teachers, being confused by language, or becoming lost in the vanities of our own minds. The Buddha was a brilliant teacher. He taught sentient beings both what to learn and how to learn. And the depth of his insight is revealed in study. The 4 things to rely on are Buddha's instructions on how we should study his teachings. And I will now discuss each of the 4 things to rely on. First of all, we have rely on the Dharma, not on the people. Why? Because the people can only interpret the Dharma, or they can only help you learn the Dharma. They cannot learn the Dharma for you. They cannot learn it on your behalf, nor can they simply hand down the Dharma to you. In other words, if you do not experience the truths of the Dharma and apply them to your own life, you will not have learned the Dharma. You will only have learned of it. And these are 2 very different things. And in order for us to learn or acquire the ultimate truths, these ultimate truths ultimately require that we experience them for ourselves. For thousands of years, Buddhist masters and Buddhist practitioners have studied the truths that the Buddha had taught until they were able to experience them for themselves. And that is indeed very important. During the Buddha's time, there was a disciple of the Buddha who once went up to the Buddha and said to him, "Dear Buddha, you are the greatest teacher in this world." But the Buddha did not respond happily. Instead, he asked his disciple, have you learned from all of the greatest teachers in this world? The disciple answered, "No." And then the Buddha continued, "Do you know all the teachers living in this world today? Or all the teachers who will be born into this world in the future?" The disciple answered, "No," again. Then the Buddha said, "In that case, it is totally meaningless for you to say that I am the greatest teacher in this world, because there is no way for you to prove that what you have said is true." The disciple then replied, "I had only just wanted to praise you because your teachings had indeed been truly magnificent." The Buddha then said, If you do believe that my teachings are of help to you, then simply put these teachings into practice and follow my instructions. This will give me greater happiness than simply praising me. And then the Buddha turned around to another disciple and asked him, if you were to buy some gold, would you pay for it without authenticating it? The disciple said, of course not. If it's not real, then I would have wasted all my money. So the Buddha said, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Don't believe that what I have taught is the truth just because I have said it. You need to test these teachings yourself. You need to see if they apply to you and if they apply to everybody. And if you realize that what I have taught are indeed true and helpful, and then follow them and put them into practice, instead of just respecting me. So you need to put them into practice because it is a truth, not just because I have taught it, or not just because you respect me. Nor should any one of us ever criticize other people's teachings or say that their teachings are not as good, because there are all kinds of great teachers in this world, and they all have ways to help other people. For this reason, we must never look down upon any of these teachers. Whether their teachings are good or not is of no business to you. The most important task you have at hand is to liberate yourself from suffering and attain enlightenment, and at the same time help other people do the same. After hearing what the Buddha had taught, these disciples then learned to treat or deal with the Dharma and other people from an even more rational and objective perspective. And from this story, we'll be able to see how important putting teachings into practice, proving whether they're true or not, is very important to everybody who learns the Dharma. So you must experience it for yourself. And don't believe what I say is true just because I have said it. In other words, the Buddha instructed his disciples to follow the Dharma, not the people, because he wanted the people to practice faith, understanding, practice, and proof when they learn the Dharma. So don't simply believe it. You need to practice and put them through the process to make sure that it is indeed the truth, and then follow such a truth. And we also need to do this so we won't change faith just because of other people's good or bad. And now, speaking of the importance of experiencing these teachings for ourselves, if you try to borrow the experiences of other people, or allow the sensibilities of others to stand in for your own, then you will not be able to learn quickly.